Hello YouTube, this is Skip, coming to you live, straight out of Real Hot Sickers Aquatic Kennels.
In this video, we're going to go over my top 5 trending monster fish under the radar. But first, check out my monster catfish. He's a bullhead catfish, and he go by the name of Bully Bull. And that's because every once in a while, I find him trying to bully on some of my amphilope species in this aquarium. Speaking of catfish, let's move on to my top 5 trending monster fish under the radar, starting with the Sun-Catfish. Coming in at number 5, the Sun-Catfish. This fish origins is from southern India. Max size is around 12 inches, although some say they can reach up to 18 inches. This monster fish is seriously trending as we take a look at info pertaining to this catfish. Also, check out this video clip taken when I visit my local pet store for research information on this video topic. As you can see, this monster catfish go by many names in the fish trade, but nothing more noticeable than that eclipse spot on the side of his body, which makes it my number 5 pick of monster trending fish under the radar. Now moving on to my number 4 pick in my top 5 trending monster fish under the radar, the African pike, which of course you can find in Africa, off the Ivory Coast, Ghana, Sierra Leone, the list goes on, in Central Africa basically. Now I discovered this fish is trending heavily at this time because of its resemblance to the African tigerfish. But make no mistake, this is an African pike. You can tell by the snout right here in the front is flat. The tigerfish is more rounder. Also in the fish trade, the African pike is way less expensive than the tigerfish, which makes the pike more desirable to fish keepers. Plus, there's a huge size difference. Tigerfish get much bigger than the African pike, which makes the African pike more manageable for aquarium keepers and hobbyists. And that's why it is number 4 on my list. Now moving on to number 3. But before we move on to the number 3 monster fish under the radar, I would like you guys to check out the links in the description area right below this video, right above the comment section, where you will find Amazon links to my books and other links to t-shirts and much more. Okay, so far 2 of our top 5 trending monster fish under the radar. One hail from southern India and the other from Africa. Now let's travel to South America and check out my number 3 trending monster fish. Coming in at number 3, the black diamond piranha. Now let's talk a little bit about why this particular species of piranha is trending so heavily at this time. One reason is the black piranha has a reputation for having the pound for pound most powerful bite force of any animal in history, even the T-Rex. Now I know some of you guys may be thinking, hold up Skip, what about the great white shark? What about the hyena? What about alligators? What about the Nile croc bite force?
This fish is massive.
And I will say this, relative to the size of the black piranha and its performance, in contrast to those other animals I mentioned, that's why I said pound for pound bite force. Although this pet store specimen is 18 inches, it is still relatively small compared to the other animals I mentioned. And just so you can get a comparison, he is housed in a 120-gallon aquarium, which is 18 inches wide, and when he turns sideways, he is just as long as the tank is wide, which makes him a certified monster fish. And that's why the black piranha is my number 3 choice of most trending monster fish under the radar. Now let's move on to my number 2 pick, as you can hear the excitement in my voice as we count down to number 1. Coming in at number 2, the Pyara, aka the saber-tooth fish, or some would say the vampire fish. This is another fish that hails from the Amazon River, right alongside the black piranhas. Now, I would be remiss not to mention the hit show River Monster on Animal Planet starring Jeremy Wade. It's one of the main reasons why this fish is heavily trending. As we watch my number 2 pick swim alongside my number 4, the African pike. The Pyara, with this impressive tusk-like teeth, is trending heavily in all the local pet stores, right along with all my other picks. Now let's move on to number 1. But before we do that, let's check out a fish that did not make my list but could have easily have done so. The ABA, aka the African knife fish, which you can find in the Nile Basin. Some refer to this species as the old world beastly fish. There is one more thing I want to discuss before we move on to my number 1 pick, and that is, what are the determining factors that make a fish a monster fish? Because I know for certain, for example, that some people would say my number 5 pick, the sunfish, is not considered a monster fish. But why would that be? Because this fish can be highly aggressive, as you can see right before you. Them sparring with one another. I actually have a few myself, and one of them was locked up with one of my cichlids. I mean mouth-to-mouth lockup. So my question is size the only determining factor that makes a fish a monster fish? Or are there other factors as well? Please leave your answer in the comment section below so that it will help all of us have a greater understanding of this particular question and topic at hand. Now finally, the moment we all been waiting for. Coming in at number 1, the diamond sturgeon fish. Now, in an effort to keep this video under 10 minutes, I would allow you guys to read up on some information about this trending monster fish. Pause at any time and resume. And that's why the diamond sturgeon is my number 1 trending monster fish under the radar. Now, I don't recommend anyone purchasing this fish unless you have a very large aquarium or a huge pond. And with that said, this Skip, I'm out.